Yo guys, what is up? I am back on the mic with Spectral Sound, and today I'm going to show you how to change these vocals right here.
Game over. Next level. Headshot.
Into these vocals.
Game over. Next level. Headshot.
Now I know I mostly do Serum tutorials, however I'm thinking of, diving more into FL Studio tutorials because I know there are a lot of people out there that like that and can benefit from it. I've done a few of them in the past, but it's mostly been Serum. I want to, play around, do more stuff with FL and FL plugins and effects and stuff like that. I just want to see what y'all think about that, so tell me. Either way, today's tutorial is about FL Studio. Now, to achieve that vocal effect, there are a few major elements. This Multiband Compressor right here is literally, I just threw it on there. I didn't change any of the settings. That's just controlling the dynamics. So I'm just gonna leave that on there. It's super basic. The first step to making the sound is this.
Game over.
And then there is this.
Game over.
And then at the very end, there's this, which I'm sure most of y'all probably know how to do this.
Game over.
Just a little bit of, bit crushing there. It's all in Effector, and I haven't done too much with Effector before, but it's very powerful. Like, there's some really cool effects and really awesome stuff you can do in this plugin. It's just a small little plugin. It doesn't take up a lot of CPU. It's good. So for the first effect,
game over,
I have a flanger selected, and what I'm doing here is I'm not moving it at all. It's not getting whipped around. It's just staying in one spot. So the dry wet is all the way up. I have the Y parameter at, here, let me just copy this value. You can hear what the Y parameter does when I move it around.
Game over. Next level. Headshot. Game over.
That's overall the depth, the feedback of the flanger. So normally if you had this in a filter, this would be the resonance. If you had this in a normal flanger, plug-in VST, it would be the feedback. So that's what the Y parameter does right there. And of course the X parameter, which is all the way up, controls the frequency, basically where it is in the spectrum.
Game over. Next level. Headshot. Game over. Next level. Headshot.
I liked it all the way up, so I just left it there. And that's all you really have to do for this one. Like, it's not a crazy effect. It's kind of all three of these put together, which I think is really cool. All right, so next up, we're gonna flip on the next effector, and this is going to be on ring modulation. Now, I completely forgot that Effector even had a ring modulation tab. I knew there were other plugins that could do that. However, I didn't know Effector could. I found that, and I thought that was really cool. So let's see, Y parameter, which is all the way up, does something like this.
Game over. Next level. Headshot. Game over. Next level. Headshot.
So basically nothing. Now, I did that on purpose because I don't know if that actually does something or not. I messed around. I didn't find anything that it did. It might just be a blank. They just had to have a Y parameter in there, so they just decided not to use it because ring modulation, the X is basically the frequency of the, I believe it's a sine wave that you're ring modulating by, the frequency of that. But the Y parameter, as far as I know, does absolutely nothing. So if it does do something, tell me so you can let me know and everyone else who is watching this, because that'd be a good addition to know what that does. The X parameter, like I said, let me just copy this value, is the frequency of, I believe it's a sine wave that we're ring modulating by.
Game over. Next level. Next level. Headshot. Game over. Next level.
And there sounds kind of dope, but if you whip it around, it gets some cool effects. That'd be kind of a cool thing to modulate. But I just left it right there at 7%. To get that, really robot kind of detuned.
Game over.
Voice. So I just left it right there. It sounded good to me. You can do wherever you want. There's a lot of other places that sound good. Finally, let's throw on the last effector. Like I said, I'm pretty sure most of y'all know how this is done. This is basic, bit crush, sample and hold, down sampling, whatever you want to call it. The X parameter here is, let me just copy the value. This is the what you would call the frequency or the pitch of the sample and hold. I'm just going to refer to it as a sample and hold. It's called lo-fi. That's basically what it is. So let me play around with that and I'll show you what it does.
Game over. Next level. Next level. Headshot. Game over. Next level. Headshot.
When it's all the way up, it's basically not really doing anything because the bit depth is staying, relatively the same. So basically what this does is you see in a waveform right here, you see this sort of kind of smooth shape going on here. What you're doing when you're turning up the sample and hold, it's basically turning that into pixels and squaring it out, because you see all of these right here. It's basically taking away every other one and then every other one again and doing stuff like that. And it creates, a smaller audio file. So if you have a really, just not good quality audio file, sometimes this will happen. However, we're doing this on purpose. It's basically creating little squares in here. There is really no good way for me to show you this in FL. However, that's basically what it's doing. It's unsmoothing out and making it squared. Oh wait, I can show you in Serum. All right, so I have Serum. I have a sine wave, really smooth waveform, and I opened up the quantize warp mode right here. And this is basically doing the same thing. You can see how it's smooth, and now when I turn it up, it starts squaring things out. You see it starts getting more and more squarey right there. And that's basically exactly the same thing that's going on right here in this effector. It's taking the smooth waveform and, kind of taking away every other bit and making it squarey. So that's what's going on here. Eventually, when you turn it all the way up, you literally just get a square. That's what goes on here. But it's basically exactly the same thing that's happening. It's just a better way to put it visually in Serum. So I just turned the X parameter to 13% because I thought it sounded pretty good, and I thought it added that nice, ringing tone above all of it. It adds, a more high end, and just generally adding this to vocals, I love adding it to vocals, especially when you're doing stuff like dubstep or rhythm or, hybrid trap or something that is more aggressive. If you add that to your vocals and just mix it in, because I don't have the dry wet all the way up. It's at like, let's see, where is this? 83%. If you just mix it in, it sounds great and adds a lot more power to your vocals, helps it mix in with the rest of the track, because the basses are like, if you're making, let's say you're making dubstep. I'm just going to do it in, dubstep terms. If you're making dubstep, the basses have a lot of high end, a lot of power. They're usually, kind of screechy and stuff like that. And then if you throw just dry vocals in there, the vocals will have actually very little, very high end. They won't be very powerful. It's not going to mix in with the basses very well. If you want to add the vocals like that, just add, a bit of lo-fi and mix it in like I'm doing right here. You might want to select a little bit of a lower frequency. Sorry, I don't know if you heard that. That's my doorbell. We just move to a little bit of a lower frequency so we get a lot of the spectrum getting, quantized here, getting lo-fied. Then it adds a lot of power. I kind of learned that from Barely Live, not that they told anyone or said to me or on YouTube or anything like that. I just listen to the stuff that they do, and they add bit crushing to their vocals all the time, and it really does work because I've done it before. So after all of those effects, you get the cool robot sound.
Game over. Next level. Headshot.
All right, there we go. I know this was a shorter tutorial, and I know it is a little more simple than a lot of my other tutorials. I just wanted to kind of show off Effector in this and encourage you to mess around with it and use it more, because I've been using it in a lot more of my tracks and, designing a lot more of my basses. It is a really, really cool tool that is, free from FL Studio. It's not that you don't have to pay for it. It's not huge. It doesn't take up a lot of CPU. It's just a good stuff. So you can play around with that and you can get some really cool stuff, especially when you're stacking as many layers as I am. So I encourage use of this. The FLP for this FLP will be in the description for a free download if you're too lazy to copy what I actually said, and you can just download that and save the presets or, mess around or do whatever you want with this there. It doesn't really matter. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.